touching on the top prop bets in the NBA today. All right, so getting to the props for today, and I will say apologies for the later video than normal. The board was not updating. We basically didn't have any good bets to go off of. So I was trying to wait until the prop board was updated. And then I started recording because all right, it's getting late. Let's just put out a video. And then literally as I started recording, they started populating the board. So apologies for the later video, but that's a good thing because we should have better bets now. One of the bets that was popping up though this morning is going to be Porzingis over 8.5 rebounds. So looking at that game, the biggest worry is the potential for a blowout there. Wizards are favored by -7, which, I always kind of tend to like the team that's favored to win because, one, if they're blowing the team out, then they're going to be the reasons. The good players are going to be the reasons as to why they're blowing them out. And also, if it stays close, well, then they're just going to be on the court more. And so if we were to pull up his prop on DK Sportsbook, we can see it is -135 and also +100 to get the under. So, it's going to be favoring him to get the over there. And we can obviously see the last few games, he's really been able to crush that. Okay, it's the games in which it's been not in between. It's just been either he's crushing it or he's not getting there at all. And so that is actually going to be true if you continue to go back. It's either 11, 5, 4, 10, 10, 9, which was close, 5, 13, 6, 10. It's either he's really going to crush this over or he's really not going to crush the over. But I like the odds at -135 to get the over there. And so that is going to be something I'm chasing. I kind of wish the game was a little bit higher scoring, meaning a few more shot attempts. But overall, one of the better bets I was able to find this morning. And so because I was kind of trying to search for some good bets, this morning, I kind of stumbled upon some for Al Horford. Okay, that kind of just makes some logical sense. The issue with it is that he's going to be going against the Raptors. Obviously, the Raptors are a pretty good defensive team. Looking at that over and under, it is a pretty low scoring game, but it is one that's going to be close. So if it's going to be close, we typically don't have to worry about the minute. So looking at Al Horford over points, rebounds, and assists, we can see he's been over that 4 out of the past 5 games, which is going to be encouraging. I guess the thing that wouldn't be encouraging would be, pretty good matchups in terms of bigs. So that's the one worry. But looking at the thing that's very encouraging about Horford is that the minutes have been there. Okay, 37, 31, 33, 31, 33. The minutes have consistently been there, which is obviously going to be highly encouraging. And it's worth noting that that has been with both of the Williams back and active. So it's not like his minutes are disappearing because those players are healthy and good to go. So that is an encouraging thing. Does feel a little bit like we could be forcing it, but at the same time, it makes logical sense. It is checking out. Then you could also potentially do fantasy score. We can see he's really been very close or just smashing this number as well. I would say I kind of like this one a little bit better. You're not as dependent on points, rebounds, and assists. You can get some, other stats somewhere, block and steal. So I kind of like this one a little bit more. Just because I feel like there's a little bit more safety with it. Now, here's a prop that definitely feels like a trap. Would be Scotty Barnes over 35.5 fantasy points. And the reason why it feels like a trap is because they are continuing to set this number here, even though he's been smashing it the last 5 games. And so to me, that tells me that, yes, he's due for that regression game. At the same time, if you guys have potentially been someone that's been rostering Scotty in DFS or, you have been playing him prop-wise, I am one that likes to continue to kind of make that bet. And so, if you guys are one of those people, I don't mind that approach then. And if we continue to go back further, for the most part, had been getting over this number as a whole as well. I mean, sure, you're going to have a few duds mixed in there, but for the most part, he had been kind of crushing it for quite a while. So we can go back further than 5 games and we can see really been doing well. At the same time, difficult matchup. It wouldn't be shocking if it finally breaks today, but at the same time, it's tough not to like seeing green consistently. Feels like we're forcing it a little bit. Now, this one is one that would hit a majority of the time. Okay, Fred VanVLEET is someone that has had a really good season thus far, and this seems like a very low number for him. Okay, 36.5 fantasy points. Just I don't know, that one seems strange. So with Scotty Barnes, we're just kind of trying to chase the hot hand a little bit. But with Fred VanVLEET, we can see that he is someone that, kind of gets on these tears and kind of just goes off for quite a while. Now, he is someone that when he hits his under, it's a bad game. That's pretty easy to see. But for the most part, he is consistently getting over this over. And I know the matchup with Boston isn't great. We can see that 25 fantasy points the last time out, 3 for 14, not great there. But what, do we just say that was good defense or was it a poor night shooting? Let's kind of take a look at that. It seemed like he had just been going through some poor night shooting. 1 for 18, 4 for 14, 4 for 11, 3 for 14. And then he finally started to shoot the basketball better. So it just seemed like he was kind of in a cold stretch shooting the basketball. And right now he's been on kind of a hot stretch. And so if that, hot streak shooting the basketball continues, should be able to get the over pretty easily here. And now this one was very strange to me. Like Bradley Beal over 35.5 fantasy points, on paper should be a lock. And I know you're seeing the game logs where he's been under that a few times now. We'll pull it up here on DraftKings, a little bit easier to view it that way. So Beal had been limited the last 2 games. Against Milwaukee, only played 13 minutes, was coming back from an injury. And then last game against the Knicks, played 29 minutes and was almost there. He is someone that consistently, just looking at DraftKings, gets 27.3 fantasy points. Now, those don't exactly correlate completely, but it's a good indication of that. The thing with it is this bet would really just be a bet that his minutes aren't going to be limited. And given the fact that it spiked up from 13 to 29, I kind of feel like he's going to be a full goal. So this could potentially be a bet that you put out there. And we can see his game log prior to that, just really a consistent fantasy producer prior to kind of that weird stretch in there. So this could very much be a bet that you make. And then if we get news that his minutes are going to be limited, then you just go ahead and, just withdraw the entry. Okay. It's kind of as simple as that. This is one that you monitor, because if news breaks that his minutes aren't going to be limited, the fantasy score and the points, rebounds, and assists, those props should all go up a little bit. So this would be kind of a good buying opportunity. And once again, you could just check it before the prop locks, and then withdraw. So be smart with the entry. Don't put any prop in there before Bradley Beal plays. Make sure they're all after. But this could be a nice spot. All right, so now we're going to move on into the props that populated when I started recording the first video. We're looking at Houston versus Minnesota. This to me is a game that sticks out. It should be a higher scoring game, but the Timberwolves are favored to win by 8.5 points. So obviously there is some blowout potential there. Don't love that when we're betting props, but looking at it right now, I am kind of assuming that that Gobert could sit out. Currently questionable with a groin injury. Sat out the past 2 games, could sit out again. So if he does sit out again, that makes these bets that I'm going to give you guys much more appealing. Kind of like with Bradley Beal. If we get news that Rudy Gobert is going to play, maybe just withdraw these entries, because obviously they're going to be less likely to hit. And then I would say the game is going to be more likely to blow out as well. So there is that increased risk. But looking at something like Anthony Edwards in this matchup with Houston, which is a highly appealing matchup, doesn't feel to be adjusted correctly if Gobert is going to sit. So looking at Anthony Edwards per 36 numbers with Gobert and with Cat off the court, he averages 27.6 real life points, 6.8 rebounds, 5.3 assists, has a huge usage rate of 30%. He averages 50 fantasy points per 36 with him off the court. Okay, so we can kind of see just all these props are kind of saying that he is not a good bet. Okay, so maybe that suggests that Gobert is going to play, but if he sits, we are getting some really good numbers on Ant-Man today. So something to watch, something that I think could be a great buying opportunity. But I think the best one would continue to be Kyle Anderson. I mean, Kyle Anderson with Gobert and Cat off the court has really been dominating, really for all the props, and it doesn't seem to be adjusted correctly. If you just look at his numbers per 36 with those 2 off the court, 11 points, 7.8 rebounds, 5.7 assists. So we can already see, just looking at this, not including the matchup, which is going to be a very favorable matchup against Houston, should get the over. Looking at rebounds, should get the over by 0.8. And he has been. Assists, maybe a little bit closer, 5.7, should get the over. Okay, so it's all adding up to Kyle Anderson kind of just being disrespected. But the one that I like the most, the one that has the most safety, should be 31.5 fantasy. Okay, this is kind of a pretty appealing bet. We can see the last 3 games with those players off the court really just been dominating. Okay, we look at his per 36, kind of looking at DraftKings again, 37 fantasy points per 36. Okay, so still really good there. He's still, logically speaking, given the game, given Gobert potentially sitting, should be really good. And I kind of hate that I have to do this if-then statement stuff for today's slate, guys. But those are the props that, were available when I was doing this video. And now we have some more that are pulling up. So let me just... This content, guys, it's tough. All right, let me go ahead and just look at these real quick. You guys won't notice the difference, but I'm going to go ahead and look at these real quick, see if there are any popping up that I like. Okay, so the updated props that we got were actually for the Suns and for the Hornets, and they are actually looking pretty good right now. So just kind of looking at the game previews for both those games, Pacers versus Suns is projected to be a close game, which obviously we like. And then the Charlotte versus Atlanta game could potentially be a blowout, but it is going to be a higher scoring game. So just looking at the rebounds for Aiden, we can see minus 130, 10.5 rebounds, and same thing for Torrey Craig, 5.5 rebounds. So if we pull up those props, we can kind of see Ayton is looking like a very good prop, especially against the Pacers, who, I don't really worry about them defensively. So this is just one of those things that more times than not, Ayton should be able to get the over rebounds. And it's just, you're making the bet based off of that. So yeah, Ayton at this price tag, I do like, or at this prop, you can see it's a little bit above his season average, but part of that is going to be the matchup. And then Torrey Craig, we can see it's been a little bit hit or miss, came close against Denver, but for the most part, this is also a pretty good prop, 5.5. The biggest question mark with Craig is going to be the minutes here. 25 minutes the last two games. We can see 23 minutes against Denver. It's a little strange. Okay, so we don't know exactly the minutes we're going to get. It's either going to be he gets that extra rotation or he doesn't. And so you're really just making a bet on the rotation, okay? Because if he does get 30 minutes, should easily be able to get the over. And it doesn't seem like there's any rhyme or reason. Now, Cameron Johnson is going to be out, so that's kind of why I like the over for Craig, because in theory, the minutes should be there more so for him. Then we can see they are still going to be without Booker, Shamet, and possibly CP3, as well as Campaign. So that's what makes these two bets, appealing for the Suns. So I kind of want to look at PJ Washington. We know that the Charlotte Hornets are most likely going to be without LaMelo Ball, currently doubtful. They're going to be without Kelly Oubre. Now, Gordon Hayward is expected to be back. So we just got to monitor how many minutes Gordon Hayward's going to get. I don't expect him to get his full allotment of minutes, so maybe like 25 or so. Either way, PJ Washington still should be a good bet. Maybe we don't bet the points, okay? Maybe that's not the move. But with ball out and with Kelly Oubre off the court, he does average 19.9 points per 36. But maybe that's not the bet that we do. If we look at his rebounds, it is 7.4. We look at his assists, it's only 0.7. So there's no real edge there with the assists. So we could potentially do points and rebounds, just given the fact that, like I said, averages 19.9 points per 36 with them off the court and 7 rebounds. So that's already going to be appealing there. Okay, just in that sense that he could get there almost just in point. But possibly the safe approach would be to just do fantasy score. With those two off the court, he averages around 35 fantasy points per 36, which is going to be appealing there. There is an edge here. We just kind of got to figure out which one it is going to be. I sort of like the points and rebounds. It doesn't seem like they're properly adjusting for that just yet. And we can see the minutes have been there for him the last few games, 37, 37, 35. So if anything, the minutes are still going to be there and the usage is just going to go up a little bit, which is, pretty appealing to me. So now PLUMLEE is a very, very interesting play today. He had been someone that had been going off with LaMelo Ball back and healthy. But if we just were to look at the player props, he is favored to get the under of 14.5. Now, if we examine why, it is literally with LaMelo Ball out, he is just not as good of a play. LaMelo Ball has really been elevating the play of Mason Plumlee. So with Ball and Kelly Oubre off the court, he averages 14.5 fantasy or real life points. So right on that number. Okay, it's very close. Now, if we were to just look at it with Ball off the court, it's 12.2 points. Okay, per 36, obviously. And we can see he hasn't been getting 36 minutes. We can see on the season doesn't average that. So really the question is, has he kind of just stepped into this new role for the offense, or is it literally just because Ball has been back and really boosting his production? I have seen a direct correlation between Ball helping out Mason Plumlee. So the logical sense would be to bet the under. You guys know I don't love betting them under, but that's going to be the approach. That being said, I don't hate the idea of doing points, rebounds, and assists. The assists should be still kind of where they're at. This is definitely going to be much more close. So, if he struggles points-wise, I still think he could be involved, still get assists, still get rebounds. And if you did want to bet on him for the over, maybe go fancy points. But just logically speaking, it does seem like the points under is going to be the best approach to go with there. So here are some of the bets I'm looking at for today, just based off of NBA. Okay, so these are some pretty strong bets. I like these ones. We'll get into some NHL bets real quick, and then I'll show you guys my bet of the day. So looking at the NHL bets, we got Carter favored to go over 2.5 shot attempts by -130. Not the best odds there, but a decent start to the day. Now we're going to get into some better NHL bets, assuming that they're still there. So we got Johnny projected to get under 2.5 shot attempts at -140, which are very good odds. As you guys could see, comparing NBA to NHL, we didn't get a single -140 bet on NBA, where on NHL, we're going to get a few here. So just looking at that, that's going to be about 1% or 0.5% better in our favor. It's like 58% to 57%. That all adds up in the long term. So if we look at Martin, he's actually favored to get the over 2.5 shot attempts by -140. Okay, we can see he's been very close over the last 5 games, but just hasn't gotten the over. Last game he did. And then we're looking at Kevin under 3.5 shot attempts. That's also minus 140. So these are all still there, which is pretty awesome. And then looking at Jordan to get under 3.5 shot attempts. And I don't know if I particularly agree with this. And it is still set at minus 140. I just had to double check that. Just because he has been someone that has been popping for me to bet the over shot attempts at pretty much a while now. So, you know, the data says, DK Sportsbook says minus 140. So chances are they're more likely than not right. So those are good odds there as well. So if I were looking to include some of my favorite NBA bets with NHL, these are the ones that I would like. Obviously, we'd be more or less mix and matching this, doing our best 2-leg bets and just mixing and matching it, you know. And then looking at my favorite bets for the day, it's going to be a 2-legger. Kyle Anderson over 31 fantasy points, predicated on the fact that Rudy Gobert is going to be out. If he's active, adjust accordingly. And then my other bet to go along with the Kyle Anderson bet would be PJ Washington over 21.5 points, rebounds, and assists with Kelly Oubre and with ball off the court. He already averages 19.9 real life points and around 7 rebounds per 36, and he has been getting 36 minutes. This is one that should be able to hit. But that's all I have for you guys for this video. I think it's going to be a little bit longer. I did this video in kind of 2 takes because, well, the board updated and there were some bets that I really liked. So go ahead and attack those numbers if they're still there. It's a weird day already. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. Let's have a good slate. And as always, let's keep cashing.